Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing an ANNIHIATION deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely fun deck to play that summons out one of the most powerful Link monsters ever created, the Arrival Cyverse ANNIHIATION, which is currently one of the only Link 6 monsters we have in the entire game. This deck can also make some really insane boards, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name scripted every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Picari. Picari is a definite 3-of in the deck that has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add an eye spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to add one of your eye spells or traps from your deck to your hand. We then play 3 copies of a Chi-Chi. A Chi-Chi is basically the Stratos of the deck, and if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a level 4 or lower ANNIHIATION monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. We then play a single copy of Dojo. Dojo is just a 1-of in this particular build. I do have some really spicy tech cards in this deck, but I bumped this card down to 1. It has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can target an ANNIHIATION monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a Link summon of a Cyverse monster, you can target an eye spell or trap in the graveyard and add it back to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to use in this deck. We then play a single copy of Bururu. Bururu is basically a walking foolish burial, which is great in this deck, and it's also a tuner monster, which is pretty good. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send one ANNIHIATION monster from your deck to the graveyard. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a synchro summon of a Cyverse monster, then you can target a monster in your graveyard that was used as synchro material, except this card, and special summon that monster, essentially being a 1-card synchro play, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Hayari. Hayari is basically a free special summon, which is why we play this card as a 1-of, because if you control an ANNIHIATION monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a pretty good effect. We then play a single copy of Danmari. Danmari is just a 1-of in this particular build. I feel like this card is a insanely powerful card, but I feel like 1 is totally fine. That when an attack is declared involving your ANNIHIATION monster, then you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate that attack. And then while you control a Link 6 monster, quick effect, you can banish this card from the field to the graveyard and then target one face-up card that your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of this turn, which is a pretty good effect to be able to use in this deck, and it's a definite 1-of in this build. I've then started playing 3 copies of MathMech Circular. This card is a new card to this particular build, and I really love this card in the deck. Being able to play the MathMechs in this deck, just with the MathMech Circular and a small package of MathMechs in this deck, takes this deck to a whole nother level, especially with how powerful your copy of Circular is, essentially being a Cyverse version of Magician Souls. This card has the ability to send one MathMech monster, accept another copy of Circular from your deck to the graveyard, and then you special summon this card from your hand. Also, you can only attack with 1 monster for the rest of the turn. And if a MathMech monster is normal or special summoned to your field, while you control this monster, except during the damage step, you can add a MathMech spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of MathMech Sigma. Sigma is a good 1-of in this deck, and you only need a single copy of this card because this is the card you're sending to the graveyard off of Circular, and it has the ability, if you control no monsters in the extra monster zone, while this card's in your hand or grave, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a great effect to be able to use in this deck to be able to send this card with your copy of Circular and then summon it back to the field by its own effect. We then also play a single copy of MathMech Addition. Addition's a good 1-of in the deck that lets you target a face-up monster on the field, and you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Cyverse monsters. Also special summon this card from your hand, but it can't attack this turn, and if you do, the targeted monster gains 1,000 attack until the end of the turn, which is a great effect to just instantly get this card on your side of the field, so you can start Link climbing into some really powerful cards. We then play a single copy of the ANNIHIATION Shield. This card is a really good 1-of of in the deck, but you only need a single copy of this card. It was just a great extender in the deck that if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target one face-up monster that you control, and that target is unaffected by your opponent's effects until the end of the opponent's turn. It's just a really good one in the deck that you can also target a Cyverse effect monster that you control and negate its effect, and if you do special summon this card from your hand, so it's a really good extender. We then also play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's a great 3 of the deck to basically just stop the opponent from touching the deck, and it's a great hand trap in this build. We then also play 3 copies of DD Crow. DD Crow is really good, especially with how many graveyard reliant decks are running around right now. This card is just really good at banishing the exact card that your opponent needs out of the grave. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a definite 1-of in this deck. This card helps out a lot in this particular build because it basically stops your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play a single copy of Math Mech Equation. This card is searchable off your copy of Math Mech Circular, and it's basically a monster reborn for your Math Mech monsters. We then play a single copy of Fighting Spirit. Fighting Spirit is a really good 1-of in this particular deck because it lets you target an Adagnister monster in your graveyard and special summon it, basically being a monster reborn, which is super good about this card. And if an Adagnister monster you control with 2300 or more attack would be destroyed by card effect, you can manage this card from your graveyard instead, giving you a little bit of protection. And if this card is banished, you can activate this effect that your Adagnister monsters with 2300 or more attack cannot be destroyed by battle this turn, which is a great effect. We then play a single copy of I Reborn. I Reborn is a really good 1-of in the deck. That's basically an additional monster reborn. The Adagnister archetype actually has like 3 monster reborns, which is insane. But this card is basically monster reborn for your Adagnister monsters, which is really good. We then play 2 copies of Ignister Island. Ignister Island is a great 2-of in this deck. I have bumped this card down to 2 in this particular build, but it's a great card to be able to put on your side of the field. It's easily searchable, which is why I just play 2, but it has the ability, if you control no monster in your main monster zone, then you can special summon out a level 4 lower Adagnister monster from your hand. But for the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon monsters with the same original attribute by this effect, which is a great effect to be able to just summon out your cards to your side of the field. This card also has the ability, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one Adagnister monster from your graveyard and set this card to your side of the field, which is great to be able to recover this card. We then play 3 copies of Signet Mining. Signet Mining is a definite 3-of in the deck, and it's just a really powerful card because you send any card from your hand to the graveyard to add 1 level 4 or lower Cyverse monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to use with this card. We then play 3 copies of one of my favorite cards in the entire game just for the artwork, and it's 3 copies of I Meet You. I love this card in this deck, and it's so wholesome of a card. It has the ability to reveal 1 Cyverse monster with 2300 attack in your hand or extra deck, and then add 1 Adagnister monster with the same attribute from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to use with this card to give you an additional searcher for the deck. And then during the end phase of this turn, you take 2300 points of damage if you did not special summon the revealed monster or a monster with the same name after the resolution of this effect, which is a great effect to be able to use with this card because usually you're just going to instantly summon out that card after this card resolves. We then also play 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Dark Ruler No More is really good as a 3-of in the deck, just to be able to turn your opponent's field off so we can go for full combo and establish our copies of the Arrival Cyverse Adagnister, which is an extremely powerful boss monster to put on the field, but we don't want our opponent to have multiple negates on the field to stop us while we're going in for our plays. So this card can turn off the field to be able to stop your opponent. You can change this card out for effect veilers if you want to play more hand traps, but I really like this card as a 3-of in the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is just a really good 3-of to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down spell and trap card columns by setting this card to the field. It's a definite 3-of in the deck, and with your copies of Ash Blossom and DD Crow, you essentially have bumped up your hand traps to 9 in this deck, and you also have the copies of Dark Ruler No More that you can change out for effect veilers or copies of Ghost Spell to be able to lock down your opponent even further if you want to go that route. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of the Arrival Cyverse Adagnister, which is our crazy powerful boss monster that we're always ending our board with. This card is absolutely insane that it takes 3+ monsters with different attributes to be able to summon this card to your side of the field, and you can only control one of this card. And the original attack of this card becomes 1,000 times the number of link materials used to link summon this card. And it's unaffected by other cards' effects, and once per turn, you can target one other monster on the field and destroy it, and if you do, you get to special summon an Adagnister token to your side of the field. That's a Cyverse Dark, level 1, 0 attack, and 0 defense to your zone that this card points to, which is a pretty good effect to be able to use with this card. This card is absolutely insane. Sometimes you can get this card out to 6,000 attack points, and it's unaffected by everything, which is just really good to be able to put this card on the field. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker. This card is just easy to put on the field and be able to pop multiple cards on the field to be able to destroy your opponent's cards and go in for game. We then play a single copy of Dark Templar. Dark Templar is a great 3-of in the deck, or great 1-of in the deck. It's a link 3 to be able to put on your side of the field to get you 3 monsters on the field so you can climb into your copy of the Arrival Cyverse Adagnister. This card is a great effect that if a monster is special summoned to a zone that this card points to, even during the damage step, you can special summon as many level 4 or lower Adagnister monsters from your graveyard as possible to zones that this card points to, but their effects are negated, which is a great effect to be able to use on this card to be able to help you swarm the field. We then play a single copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul. This card basically lets you draw a card every single turn by paying 1,000 life points, and it's super easy to put on the field. And the best thing about this card is it has 2,300 attack, which is great for this deck. We then play a single copy of Transcode Talker. This card is basically Walking Monster Reborn, and it's a really good 1-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Update Jammer. Update Jammer is a great 1-of in the deck because this card just helps you attack twice with one of your monsters, and it's super easy to put on the field. We then play a single copy of Splash Mage. Splash Mage is a Monster Reborn, which is a great effect to be able to have in this deck just to extend your plays. We play a single copy of Cyverse Wick Kid. Wick Kid is a great 1-of, but you only need a single copy of Wick Kid in this deck, and this link summon card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and Cyverse monsters this card points to cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to while you control this monster except during the damage step, then you can banish a Cyverse monster from your graveyard to add a Cyverse tuner from your deck to your hand, which is your copy of Bururu. We then play a single copy of G-Golem Crystal Heart. This card is a card we got out of Crystal Revenge and is a really good 1-of in the deck for its first effect that lets you target an Earth Link monster in your graveyard and special summon it to a zone that this card points to, which can actually get back your copy of Transcode Talker, which is really good. We then play 2 copies of Dark Infant Adagnister. This card is super good in the deck and a really good 2-of in this particular build because if this card is link summoned, you can add 1 Ignister Island from your deck to your hand. And when a Cyverse monster with 2,300 original attack activates its effect, quick effect, you can move this card to your main monster zone that this points to, which is a great effect to be able to just move this card to a different zone. Then you can change this card's attribute until the end of the turn, which usually you're changing this card into a divine monster, which is really good to just turn this card into a divine so you have multiple attributes to go in for your copy of the Arrival. So, we then play a single copy of Lingeribo. Lingeribo is just really good to be able to out-trap cards, and it's a definite 1-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Alambertium. Alambertium's a definite 1-of in the deck, because this card gives you so many different plays that you contribute 1 monster to be able to special summon a level 4 Mathmech monster from your hand or graveyard, and if this card is XZ summon, you can detach 2 to 4 materials from this card to activate the appropriate effect, depending on the amount of materials that you detached. If you detach 2, you add a Mathmech card from your deck to your hand. If you detach 3, you add a level 4 monster from your deck to your hand. If you detach 4, you add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is an awesome effect to be able to add any spell or trap that you want from deck to hand. We then play a single copy of the Light Dragon Adagnister. This card is a definite 1 in the deck and it's just really good at being able to use in this build. We then also play a single copy of Wind Pegasus. Wind Pegasus is really good to be able to summon to your side of the field. It is a great card in the graveyard because it has the ability that you can manage this card from the grave and then target 1 card that your opponent controls and shuffle it into the deck. You can also change this card out for Cyverse Quantum Dragon, which is another option for you guys if you want to change this card out for that card. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Adagnister before, you definitely should give this deck a try because it's extremely powerful, especially with the Math Mech cards in this build. The Math Mechs just take this deck to a whole new level, and it's just super fun to be able to play, and it's actually fairly budget to pick up, which is really nice. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.